My fellow Idahoans, for months now, the Idaho legislature has debated its desired role in the state's response to declared emergencies. The debate has culminated in two bills that threaten your safety and our economy during future emergencies. House Bill 135 and Senate Bill 1136 are not about protecting your rights or improving the state's emergency response. The bills handcuff the state's ability to take timely and necessary actions to help Idahoans in future emergencies. The bills narrow the authority of future governors to the point where a governor could not deploy the National Guard to facilitate vaccine administration or repair bridges after a massive earthquake. The bills limit the state's ability to help agriculture and industry minimize financial loss during a drought or flood. In addition, the bills limit the state's ability to help reopen schools and businesses following a catastrophic disaster. We know future emergencies will include floods, fires, and drought, the routine experience of living in the West. A governor must have the ability to handle those emergencies, but we must recognize that future disasters also include events much more drastic. We could face a potential multi-state disaster involving major earthquakes, enormous flooding, or devastating fires. We could experience a massive sustained power grid failure. The list of potential devastating disasters are simply unknown. Future Idaho governors absolutely must be able to respond quickly and protect lives and livelihoods. The bills not only limit the state, but cities and counties as well. For example, our ability to evacuate a town in advance of a dam breach is hindered by the bills. The bills politicize our emergency response efforts and jeopardize critical funding for local governments during large-scale events. The entire legislative body, 105 individuals, would have to convene in Boise to extend an emergency declaration requested by Lewis County for months-long flooding. Totally impractical and costly. And if the legislature fails to extend an emergency declaration, the disaster recovery and FEMA relief funding are jeopardized, and Idaho taxpayers are on the hook for emergency response costs. Idaho is a state that values the Constitution. These bills violate the Idaho Constitution on a number of fronts. The Idaho Constitution wisely prohibits the legislature from performing executive duties. Declaring and responding to emergencies are core executive functions defined by the Idaho Constitution and the U.S. Constitution, and rightly so. The executive branch has resources and can tap subject matter experts in emergency response to quickly and effectively deploy resources in fast-moving situations. The bills severely interrupt and slow down the emergency response because it becomes subject to 105 different opinions, adding more red tape and government bureaucracy, and potentially impacting lives and livelihoods. For these reasons, I will be vetoing House Bill 135 and Senate Bill 1136. To the Idaho legislature, I agree with you that there is a time and a place for the legislature to be involved during future emergencies. That is why I came to you early on this session and offered tangible solutions and a path forward for the legislature to become more involved in a way that would not affect the state's timely response during an emergency. I am extremely grateful to the members of the legislature who have taken the time to hear me out. You know who you are, and I appreciate you more than you know. Numerous stakeholders felt ignored: the National Guard, the cities, the counties, FEMA, state emergency managers, and business. This is just plain irresponsible. Let's be honest. These bills are an emotional, knee-jerk reaction because of anger about the pandemic and some of my decisions during a very uncertain time last year. But I still believe when faced with difficult decisions, given the information I had at the time, I acted on balance during the pandemic response, and the strength of our economy today proves it. I listened to the experts, and Idaho was one of only a handful of states with the fewest COVID restrictions. We avoided a crisis in healthcare, and we now have the strongest economy in the nation. Thanks in part to quick action during the pandemic and my ability to deploy resources quickly through the constitutional authorities given the governor during a crisis. Any changes the legislature makes to the state's emergency response process should consider how Idahoans will be impacted during future emergencies. We need to look forward. Let's do this the right way and involve stakeholders in the solution. That's what Idahoans deserve. I urge my partners in the legislature who voted for these ill-conceived bills to reconsider their votes on the override. I urge Idahoans to share their concerns with their legislators as well. Now, I am proud to say that all of Idaho's living governors stand with me in support of my veto on these bills. Governor Phil Batt, Senator Jim Risch, also a former governor, have provided statements of support. In addition, Governor Butch Otter is here with me today, and Governor Dirk Kempthorne will offer some words remotely. First, Governor Kempthorne.